Hello guys. So in today's video, let's discuss about swim bladder, its structure and its function. So generally you'll be encountering this topic in your PG and Chapuchu, like if you read about anything about fishes, fish biology kani, fisheries kani. So you'll be having this topic anamata. So coming to the basic introduction about swim bladder. సో జనరలీ ఫిష్ ఫ్లోట్ అవ్వాలన్నా లేకపోతే అప్వర్డ్ ఫోర్స్ తోటి బౌంట్ అవ్వాలన్నా లేకపోతే ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ పొజిషన్లో స్టాటిక్గా ఉండాలి అన్నా the fish should maintain the either equal or greater amount of water than its body mass. So ఈ purpose కి for a fish, so first point ఉంది చూడండి, for a fish to be buoyant or float, it must display an equal or greater amount of water than its body mass. Then, so either to float or either to stay in a constant level in the water body, the fish should maintain the density so that it is able to either float or it is able to either stay in a constant position anamata. So for this purpose, the fish will be using the structure called as swim bladder anamata. Done. So this is an air inflated balloon. So generally మన balloons ఉంటాయి కదా, so a balloon which is filled with air. So the same way you can see the structure of swim bladder. So for your idea, whenever you dissect fish ని మనం ఎప్పుడైనా డిసెక్ట్ చేసినా లేకపోతే if you are a non-vegetarian, whenever you cut the fish, సో ఒక చిన్న బెలూన్ లైక్ స్ట్రక్చర్ కనిపిస్తుంది. సో దిస్ ఈస్ జనరలీ ప్రెసెంట్ ఇన్ బోనీ ఫిషెస్ అనమాట. ఆస్టిక్టిస్ బోనీ ఫిషెస్ లోని యూ కెన్ సీ ది ప్రెసెన్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ స్విమ్ బ్లాడర్. సో వైట్ కలర్ బెలూన్ లైక్ స్ట్రక్చర్, స్మాలర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఈసోఫేగస్ పొజిషన్ లో కనిపిస్తుంది. సో దాన్నే వి కాల్ ఇట్ as స్విమ్ బ్లాడర్. ఎయిర్ ఇన్ఫ్లాటెడ్ బెలూన్ లాగా ఉంటుంది అనమాట. So this swim bladder is also called as gas bladder or air bladder. So I have said you it is a sac-like structure lying between the alimentary canal and kidneys. Kidneys ki alimentary canal ki మధ్యలో ఉంటుంది. So generally esophagus నుంచి arise అవుతుంది అనమాట. Show you the structure also, no worries. So it is a gas filled pneumatic sac. ఎట్లయితే మనకి బర్డ్స్ లో న్యూమాటిక్ బోన్స్ అని అంటాం కదా, సో విచ్ ఇస్ ఫిల్డ్ విత్ ఎయిర్ సో దట్ టు మేక్ ది బర్డ్స్ లైటర్ ఇన్ వెయిట్. ఇన్ ద సేమ్ వే ద స్విమ్ బ్లాడర్ or gas bladder is filled with that air so that it will be giving the correct density to the fishes in order to swim in the water body. So I've said you it is present in the bony fishes or osteichthyes. It is absent in elasmobranch fishes, lampreys, hackfishes or cyclostomes, sharks and rays. So in all these cartilaginous fishes, the swim bladder or gas bladder or air bladder is absent. So if you see the structure or modifications of the swim bladder, it is different in different groups of bony fishes. We'll see next we have the structure topic. So different kind of fishes will be having different structural modifications of this swim bladder. So it is generally considered as homologous with the lungs anamata. So dipnoid fishes ki kani manaki tetrapods ki etlaithe lungs untayo, so it is considered homologous with that. Ante certain times or in certain kind of fishes, this gas bladder will also function as an additional lungs. Like I've said you, it will store the air. So air ni store cheskuntundi. So whenever this bony fishes needs the additional supply of the oxygen, so it will take that additional oxygen which is needed by them from this air bladder anamata. Then so అందుకే we call it as homologous to the lungs of dipnoid. Then so this is the point in first నుంచి చెప్పేది. Air bladder arises as an outgrowth from the esophageal region of the alimentary canal. So alimentary canal లో ఉన్న esophagus నుంచి it will be arising అనమాట. Either lateral way, either ventral way, either dorsal way based on the fish types. We'll see ఆ types కూడా చూద్దాం. Next is the structure of the swim bladder. So coming to the structure of the swim bladder, it is greatly different in structure, shape and size in different species of fishes. So it is a sac-like structure which is completely surrounded by the capillary network. So beneath this capillary network, there are two layers. One is tunica externa, one is tunica interna. So external layer which is formed of connective tissue layer, internal layer which is formed of smooth muscle fibers and epithelial gas glands. Done. So tunica externa, tunica interna. Externa is made up of connective tissue layer. Interna is made up of smooth muscle fibers and epithelial gland, gas gland. Done. Next, it is consisting of one to many chambers. So if you see the structure of swim bladder చూస్తే మనకి structure diagram లో single లాగా కనిపిస్తుంది. But if you see the inside, there are many chambers inside the swim bladder. Either maybe one, or you can see many chambers or many divisions of in the swim bladder. So the connection with the esophagus may be retained throughout the life or may be lost. I'll show you the structure diagrams anamata. In few species anamata, there is a connected by a sac-like structure anamata. So it is present throughout the life. But in few, there is no connection between the esophagus and the air bladder. So coming to the air, so air bladder has certain kind of air which will also function as an additional lung and Japano. So the air bladder will be having the oxygen, nitrogen and very little quantity of carbon dioxide. So the major amount of the manaki oxygen ఉంటుంది. So it is helpful for the respiration of the fishes. So this air bladder is also an organ. So it needs the blood for the purpose of exchange of, for the purpose of taking of oxygen. So generally posterior branches of dorsal aorta ఏవైతే ఉంటాయో that will be supplying the blood to the air bladder. Dorsal aorta's posterior branches. So it will also secrete certain kind of deoxygenated blood, venous blood. Kada. So this venous blood is drained into the vessel that joins the hepatic portal system. Done. So the venous blood is sent back to the hepatic portal system. Next. Next is examples ఇచ్చారు చూడండి. And physostomas and salmonidae. So if you see this salmonidae, so physostomas is simple. It is like salmonidae lo. It is simple. Capillaries ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో they are uniformly distributed అన్నమాట all over the surface. So simpler type of air bladder అని చెప్పొచ్చు because capillaries are distributed all over the surface of the air bladders. Coming to the physostomes, which includes the labiofishes. So blood vessels ఏవైతే ఉంటాయో they are arranged as a fan-like structure అన్నమాట. Then so a fan-like manner laga they are arranged. And coming to their concentrated at specific points lo concentrated ayi untai on the inner surface of air bladder. So where they'll be forming a red shaped structures అన్నమాట. ఒక masses లాగా ఉంటాయి. దాన్ని we call it as red bodies. So in salmonidae uniformly distribute ayi untai capillaries. Coming to the physostomas, the capillaries forms a bundle like structure, ఒక fan like structure లాగా form అవుతుంది. So it will be looking like in red colored structure. So then we also call it as red bodies అని అంటాం. Then so it will be consisting of numerous arterial and venous capillaries will be there. They'll be running parallel to one another. So that it will be either carrying the blood towards the air bladder or carrying the blood away from the air bladder. That's the function of arteries and veins, capillaries. Then next. So this either gas untundo which is present in the air bladders, it will be coming from the blood secreted by the gas glands. Then so this gas glands or red bodies evaithe untayo, it is completely filled with the capillaries. So that will be supplying the blood to the air bladder. From that blood it will be collecting the gas. Then so posterior chamber which is thin walled and it forms the oval gland anamata. So this oval gland will be helpful for reabsorption of the gas by the blood. So I've said you additional respiratory organ in Japan. So whenever the body of the fish is in need of an extra supply of air anukunda, then so then the oval gland edaithe untundo it will be reabsorbing the gas by the blood anamata. So it is posteriorly present anamata. So ఏదైతే ఈ secretion ఉంది, ఏదైతే ఈ reabsorption ఉంది, this is completely controlled by the autonomous nervous system. Done. So the secretion by the red glands and the reabsorption by the oval glands will be completely controlled by the autonomous nervous system. So ఎప్పుడు secrete చేయాలి, ఎప్పుడు reabsorb చేయాలి, based on the needs of the body of the fish, it will be depending అన్నమాట. So this is the structure of the air bladder. So if you write the diagram, sorry, if you write the answer, so try to draw this diagram also. Done. So this is the structure of the swim bladder. So this is the esophagus. So from there it will be rising anamata. So if you see this oval gland anamata, posterior structure will be giving rise to an oval gland. Anterior part, it is connected with the liver. So these are the arteries and veins, capillaries which are surrounding the swim bladder. So this is the gas gland. So these are all the dorsal aorta. Done. So this is the recta mirabile, which is connecting the swim bladder with the liver. Done. The simple structure. Next, let's see about the different types of this air bladders. So it is generally divided based on the presence of this ductus pneumaticus. Done. So they have divided it into two types. If the ductus pneumaticus is present or absent. So let's see the two types. So generalized groups of teleost fishes. No? So in this generalized groups of teleost fishes, air bladder will be having the connection with the gut or connection with the esophagus. So this is the diagram. So this is the gut or esophagus. It is connected to the air bladder. Then, so this is the generalized groups. But if you see the specialized kind of teleost fishes, there is no duct or there is no connection between the gut and the air bladder. Done. So ductus pneumaticus is generally present in the generalized teleost fishes. It is absent in the specialized teleost fishes. That's it. And these are different types and matters. So the same. This is the gut. These are the air bladders. So if it is, so in the erythrinus, it is lateral in position. The duct which is there, it is lateral side untadannamata. And if it is dorsal side, we call it as amia and lepidopteus. So this is also dorsal side, but either the air bladder on it is bilobed here. If you see, this is trilobed. If you cut it and observe, this is bilobed here. This is Neoceratodus. Then next is again lateral air bladder, which is present in Protopterus and Lepidosiren. And next is the ventral pneumatic ductus present. I mean, the connection on it is present towards the ventral side. And lobes chuste, the left lobe which is there, which is smaller. So if you see the smaller left lobe of the air bladder and the larger right lobes. So this is generally present in Polypterus and Calamoichthys. Done. So dorsal side, lateral side, ventral side, based on the shapes, I mean, based on the sizes of this air bladder also, they have divided these many types. The main types are those both. Generalized and specialized, those are important. So we are done with structure. We are done with types. Next, let's deal with the last topic, that is functions of the air bladder. So there are many functions of the air bladder. First is it will be functioning as an hydrostatic organ. So to keep the weight of the body either equal to the volume of the fish, I mean volume of the water of the fish, so that it can easily equilibrate in the water media, so that it can easily able to rise and sink and they maintain position without any muscular effect. So there is no additional muscles needed for them to either rise, to either sink, to either stay in constant position. This air bladder is there. It will be acting as an hydrostatic organ. So based on the surrounding media water density ni batti, it will be stabilizing its air content. So to maintain the constant level. Done. Next is I have said you respiratory organs. So in which oxygen content is very low when the water body low, when the oxygen content is very low. So the oxygen which is produced in the bladder will be surviving or will be serving as a source of oxygen. So this is not glass, this is gas. Sorry. Yeah, many fishes uses gas bladder as temporary or supplementary organ of respiration. So whenever the surrounding environment has less amount of oxygen, it will take the oxygen from the air bladder. So example on the chudandi, in the dipnoid, swim bladder modified as a lung capable of taking atmospheric air. So red fish. Then so it is able to take the atmospheric air, not the dissolved air. So eppadaithe dissolved oxygen undo, it is enough, like it is over. So it will be taking the oxygen from the atmosphere. Then gaseous oxygen. Next is it will be functioning as a sensory organ. So it will be pressure receptor, baroreceptor laga kuda function చేస్తుంది. Done. There are more functions. Next is sound production. So they are able to produce sound with the gases inside the air bladder by using a special kind of muscles anamata. So this circulation of air in the air bladder causes certain kind of vibrations. Then so that vibrations will produce the sound. So the sound is also produced by the compression of extrinsic and intrinsic musculature of the air bladder. So it is generally meant to start the enemies or attack the mates అన్నమాట. Done. So it is generally meant either to enemies ఏవైతే ఉంటాయో వాటిని భయపెట్టడానికి, in order to make them afraid, they'll be using this sound, or either to attract the opposite mates. Done. Opposite sex mates to attract. So attraction కోసం. So sound అనేది generally, so by the vibrations of the incomplete septa. So the circulation of air ద్వారా vibrations అనేటివి వస్తాయి, either through the compression of extrinsic and intrinsic muscles of the air bladder, or by the special kind of muscles which are present in the air bladder will be producing certain kind of sounds. Next is the auditory function. So it is helpful to transmit the sound waves to the ear. So ear ki transmit cheyadaniki it is helpful anamata. So there are a series of bones, small bones, Weberian ossicle, connecting the air bladder and the internal ear. So if you see, there is an Weberian ossicle at the side of the fishes like this, small. If you dissect it, you can find this. So this Weberian ossicle is connecting the air bladder with the internal ear, so that it is able to transfer the sound waves anamata. So low frequency vibrations of contained gas induced by noise in water are transmitted by ossicles to the membrane labyrinth. So thus these fishes can be easily able to hear anamata. So very low frequency sounds unna kuda it can be easily able to transmit that to the ossicles to the membrane labyrinth. Done. So this is the functions of the air bladder. This is the types of the air bladders or swim bladder. This is the structure of the, sorry, I again went back. So this is the types again. Sorry, and yeah, this is the structure. This is the introduction. Done. So hope you like the video. Thank you.